Welcome back to this special edition of Houston Life here at Sam Houston Race Park. There was a lot of action on the track and in the grandstands, of course, but we wouldn't have any of it without the hard-working people behind the scenes at the barn.
Right. It takes a certain kind of grit to do the 24/7 work of taking care of thoroughbreds that race here at Sam Houston. It's cowboy grit. And for the three-time rodeo world champion turned racehorse trainer Shawn Davis, this comes second nature.
Well, my main goal from the time I was a little kid was to be a world champion cowboy. When I was going to college, you couldn't get jobs. You know, I mean, it was a tough economy at that time, but people had racehorses, and they needed somebody to ride, to gallop, and then also they had some horses there that the riders didn't want to ride because I rodeoed and I liked them to buck, so it didn't bother me if the horses bucked. That's what I wanted, was something to buck so I could practice on. So that's kind of how I got my start.
From rodeo to racing. During his time as a professional saddle bronc rider, Shawn Davis claimed 3 world champion titles. He competed at the Astrodome's first ever rodeo and is so far in 14 halls of fame.
You know, I've gone through all the bucking horses, the rodeo, the national finals rodeo, the college rodeo. I coached the rodeo. I had an Irish grandparents from Ireland, and that family, they wanted to be rodeo cowboys. They had a little farm, and they had calves and they had goats. Their friends would come up, you know, and they'd ask me if I wanted to ride a calf or a goat. so I would, and then they'd take a little collection. I'd get 25 or 15 cents or something.
And the money got a whole lot better than 25 cents.
You're a very successful saddle bronc rider. You had at one point won more prize money than anybody.
First year of full competition, I set an all-time money win record that lasted for 10 years. But when you talk about money, that was what you win for one day money at the National Finals Rodeo. I won $25,900 and some dollars. I bought a new Cadillac, an airplane, and still had money left over, so.
Then everything came crashing down.
It was actually a bareback horse that broke my back, but he flipped over backwards on me and broke my back in the 4th lumbar and dislocated it. And at that time, of course, it was a long time before I had any feeling. They didn't think I was going to walk, and then they told me I'd never ride again. But I was in a body cast for 6 months from here to my knees. And when I took the body cast off, I was 10 pounds lighter, an inch shorter, and my waist was an inch bigger. But anyhow, I was able to come back. I could compete again very successfully. In fact, the first rodeo that I entered, I won the bronc riding at. But I never could because of the problems I had. I could ride, and I was in the top 15, and I made the national finals several more times, but I never could ride at the degree I could before I broke my back. Racehorses basically has always been somewhat of a hobby, even though what happens when you compete all your life, you know, you got that challenge, and it's hard to get over losing that challenge. But I was also, I guess I'm going to say, smart enough to know unless I could do real well, I needed to move on. And the racehorse filled that void. And winning races just don't happen. Now, it does occasionally, but it has to be planned, and it's a great challenge too. And the excitement of, the same excitement level, the adrenaline level and everything, walking up there on that horse and hoping that, you know, you've done everything correct and that he's going to run like you hope he does and they win. That's a great adrenaline flow, and that's what tied it together, even though I love the racehorses from the same time I like the rodeo.
Would you say now this is your retirement job?
The truth of the matter is, one reason I do it, if you're 84 years old, you can get damn lazy. I have no decision to make. I have to get out here and take care of these horses, and I have to walk back and forth from the track or ride. I get around fairly good for what I do, and I know if I didn't do that, I might get lazy, and so that's one of my purposes.
Davis says there isn't a lot of difference between training a horse and training a rodeo cowboy.
It's just like coaching, because the students I had, you know, they come through my programs and then my clinics and that, was not always the most talented student that won the world championships. It was the ones that had the most desire, and this right here too.
So So really for the horses, they have to have a desire to win.
Yeah, and there's some of them got worlds of ability, but they don't have the mind. You know, I mean, to be good and great, you have to have the mind. And it's just like a human. They have the mind, and they want to win, and they don't want to give up.
So any tips?
Well, yeah, we're always hoping, you know, we always positive thinking. Hopefully I got some tips, but I'll probably tip you better after the race.
Well, it's a remarkable story indeed, and I find it fascinating, Derek, that the actual footage of Shawn's accident was actually just a Polaroid. Because no smartphones in 1969 when the Bronco flipped. Someone just happened to snap a picture at that moment.
A very different time. And also, can you imagine being told you would never walk again and look just how far he's come? Truly a remarkable story.